Hey guys, how are you? Today I have a wonderful episode. I am interviewing Yve Bowen. Yve is a transformational mindset coach and a limiting belief specialist. So we all have these limiting beliefs, those little suckers that try to come up and tell you, you're not good enough. You don't know what you're doing, blah, 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 all the crap that we shouldn't be listening to. Yve is here to help us and give us great techniques to zap these irrational beliefs away. And she's just a really great person and she's a really dope accent. So make sure you tune in and check out Beverly Explains It All. Hey guys. Okay, let's get real. Do you sometimes feel like life's just a never-ending loop of wake up, drink coffee, go to work, waste countless hours scrolling online, eat, watch TV, maybe read a book, sleep, and then repeat? Have you ever really thought, is this really it? Guess what? You're not the only one. I help people just like you, well, and me, to get unstuck. I'm bringing on amazing guests who will inspire you, challenge you, and maybe even blow your mind. Let's face it, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you got. But lucky for you, I know exactly how to help. With a little bit of woo and a whole lot of you, it's time to unstick your stuck and shake that thing up. Let's do this on Beverly Explains It All. Hey guys, welcome to Beverly Explains It All. I am joined today by the wonderful Yve Bowen. Yve is a transformational mindset coach and a limiting belief specialist. Hey Yve.
Hey, Beverly. So
God,
happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here. And thank you for being patient with me. Those who are not around us don't know the era of comedies that I was just going through.
The dramas that we endure to bring this to you. Absolutely.
I'm telling you, they don't even know. People out there, I hope you appreciate it.
They don't know.
They don't know. Man, well, since we know, I would love if I could just kickstart this wonderful interview with some quick, 3 yes/no questions. You game?
Of course.
Amazing. All right. Well, obviously, everyone listening, I hope they can tell you have an accent. So that leads me to my first question. Would you ever live in the United States?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I wasn't expecting that, but I'm glad to hear it.
I had to think about it.
Okay, I understand. I get it. Number 2, this is something totally different, but do you believe in spirits?
Yes.
I thought you would say that. And number 3, do you believe that anyone has the potential to do anything?
No.
Ooh, well, I definitely want to jump more into that. I love that. It was a blunt no.
Absolutely no. That's a hard no.
Okay. I mean, yes, I think there's very many layers to that. And before we slide into that kind of conversation, will you please let my listeners know a little bit about yourself?
Sure. As the lovely Beverly says, I'm Yve Bowen. I'm a transformational mindset coach and limiting belief specialist. I live in the UK in a town called Brighton. I suppose it's equivalent to San Francisco because it's hilly. It's the British capital of the LGBTQ plus community. It's very creative. It's a beautiful place. I raised my children here, 2 boys, 2 men. I became a coach because I wanted to have sane conversations. I'm not good at small talk. I'm very good at small talk, but I feel like I'm wearing a mask when I'm doing it. And so to have authentic, real, transformational conversations in my everyday life was a must for me. And I happened upon coaching many years ago as a path to having a fulfilling career. And it really did change my life because I had to grow as a person in order to be a good coach. I was very reactive. I was a very angry young woman. I was a very angry teen. And in my early coaching years, I would be reactive with my clients. I would be triggered with my clients. So I had to really do the work, really look at what was going on with me and support myself to become much less chilled than the relaxed woman you see here today.
I'm like just wondering how it would be working with a coach who is reactive, because I'm like,
Right?
part of the reason, part of the reason why we go to coaches is to seek that advice that we're looking for. So if someone pops off at the
That's
other end, it's like,
right.
whoa, what?
Well, I wasn't
Excuse
throwing
me.
fists. I wasn't that bad, but it was definitely, could you imagine?
I'd be like,
But it
I don't
was
think this is for
definitely
me.
more, right. I was like, yeah, flip the script. Guys, I need some coaching today. But no,
Right.
it wasn't like really extreme. It was like I could feel my gut. So even if it
Mm,
wasn't coming out to the client, I could feel myself reacting. Because in my
right.
background, one of the things that I experienced growing up was very much not being listened to, not being affirmed when I was speaking from a truthful place, from an honoring place. When I was making, asking big questions of life, it was seen as annoying. It was seen as she's a difficult one. She's the black sheep of the family. Why can't she be like the rest of us? And so anytime I had to challenge a client around something that they were resistant to shifting, that feeling would come up in my gut. Oh, oh, right. So that was what I'd
Yep.
be experiencing as a trigger, not necessarily the client knowing that was happening. And I did to
Well,
be able to be a great coach means affirming people and helping them gain clarity, but also challenging them where they are resistant to change, where they ask for change. And so to be better at that, I had to really dive into those beliefs where they stem from, that knot in my gut that would come up. And I learned to understand, oh, it was because the people that you love the most, that you valued the most, that you cherished the most, told you the things that you now know are the best things about yourself were the most difficult things about yourself. So it was, it was a layered, beautiful journey.
it's
And
deep.
all coaches have to go on that, all therapists, all practitioners. I don't care
Yeah.
where they are. I mean, I've watched Yana Van Zandt get triggered 1,000 times, but she's aware of it and she talks about it and she's, you know, that's authentic.
It's like holding that mirror up to your face and just being real with yourself, which I think is
Mhm.
hard to do. And I think that's why a lot of people do go to coaches. You kind of
Mm.
touched on a little bit about your growing up. We spoke about this in our pre-interview. Can you tell people a
Mhm.
little bit about that? Because, you went through some self-loathing periods and some
Mhm.
possible like self-abandonment issues. Can you just tell us a little more about that so we know how you even got down this road that you're leading now?
Yeah. And, I look back at it now because it doesn't trigger me anymore. But at the time, it really was a sense of I don't belong. I don't understand the rules of the world. I
Yeah.
don't understand why different cultures do different things. I don't understand what's right in this country is wrong in that country.
Mm,
I don't understand why men are given roles to play and women are given roles to play. I don't understand why people um, live their lives based on these basic rules of you're born, if you're traditional, you go to school, you try to find a partner, you get married, you buy your first home, you try to accumulate stuff, you have children, you have grandchildren, you die. I was like, what is that?
like, and then that's life, and that's
That's
it.
just right. And it's how everybody should live, which is fine.
Mm,
But I just didn't understand it. And I didn't
mm,
understand why people didn't question things. So if they were, you know, inculcated is a word I like to use, which is just essentially conditioned to think in certain ways and not challenging that. Is that true? Is that my thought? Is that my belief? So all of these things that made me feel different, they made me feel other, they made me feel wrong. And
mm.
especially in a Caribbean household where it's very traditional. My parents are from Barbados. Um, there are a lot of rules in that household. And so I didn't fit into any of those rules. And what I did was I internalized this feeling of I'm wrong. There's something wrong with me. Why can't I accept things like everyone else? Why am
Mm,
I so different? Why can't I fit in? Why do I challenge even when I don't want to challenge and I want to fit in? It's a
yeah.
compulsion. And I didn't understand at the time it was a deep, deep desire in me to know what was always true. what's always true, not what's in fashion, not what we
Right.
did in the last couple of decades, not
Mhm.
what happened after the civil rights or before the civil rights, not what happened, what is always true, because that I can trust. And I didn't understand that was at the root of my personal journey, that I was here to understand what's always true, to inquire about what's always true. That's going to be true 5,000 years from now and 5,000 years ago, because that I can rely on. But because I didn't know that was my journey, I just felt like I was very, very wrong. And so the self-loathing, the self-attack, the self-abandonment was me trying my very best to fit in and not feeling like I was being myself, and that my most authentic self was the least liked aspect of me. But in
Mm.
hindsight, what I've learned on this journey was I was born into the right family at the right time for the right purpose. Because they're challenging of me, my journey was to get to a point where even if they said, we don't like you, we don't want you, we don't want to hear you, I had to learn to love myself anyway.
It's
I
huge.
had to learn to trust my gut anyway. I had to
Mhm.
listen to myself anyway. And if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't be, may I say, the great coach I am today, because I was willing to feel all of those difficult feelings, look at every negative thought that popped into my head and explore it and root out the root of it. And why is that? Why, when I'm walking down the street, I go, I'm happy, and I pass a group of people and I can suddenly hear, no, they're not saying it. It's in my head. You're ugly. You're fat. There's something
Mm.
wrong with you. These thoughts would just come up. And I would start to learn to look at all these aspects of myself and question and challenge them. And so I was born into the perfect family, and I learned to see them as amazing, wonderful people who had no malice in what they were doing. They just wanted me to be safe. They wanted me to fit in. They wanted me to do well. And what looked like a very difficult journey was actually the perfect testing ground for me.
You just, in a way, had to grow into who you were to kind of
Mhm.
recognize that this was right all along.
It was right all along. Yeah. And it's difficult though. You have
Yeah.
to, the unwillingness we have to really look at ourselves, all aspects of ourselves. I have plumbed the depths of the highest and the darkest in me and learned to love it all. And not everybody is willing to do that. Sometimes they need help to do that because they're so busy judging themselves, shaming themselves,
Mm.
attacking themselves in all different forms. And so for me, it has been a journey of recognizing the willingness to do that showed me that every part of me was beautiful, all of it.
Indeed. And that's so hard, just growing up being in that mindset that you're different, or,
Mhm.
like, I'm ugly, or I just don't even like myself. Like,
Mhm.
growing in that mindset is, I mean, I'm going to say a limiting belief. And I know that you are a specialist in that area. I would love if you could just define for the audience exactly what is a limiting belief. Because a lot of times I feel like
Mhm.
we throw around that word without kind of like knowing. I feel like in the last couple of years, limiting beliefs itself, the word has become more popular and people are starting to
Yes.
understand. But I'm like, do we really know what we're saying when we're talking about limiting
Mhm.
beliefs?
Well, what I mean when I say limiting beliefs is a belief that is stopping you from getting where you want to go, that's keeping you trapped in your situation, that's telling you you can't do something that you're absolutely here to do, you're meant to do, you're being guided to do. It's blocking you from reaching your highest potential. And it's usually a repetitive script that plays out in your mind. It sort of thinks the worst can happen. It shows you all the pitfalls. It will stop you from taking the actions you need to take.
Yeah.
And it does that in a very specific way with a very specific script. And every one of you can think of something where you hear a very familiar voice inside your head. No, not this. No, not that. And it uses the
Hmm.
same phrases over and over again because it's
Yep.
almost trance like programming you to, because it's trying to keep you safe. So That's its way of keeping you safe. So a limiting belief is actually a gift, but you have to understand what it's looks like, what it feels like is something that's basically stopping you where you want to go or need to go.
See, and it's interesting that you call it a gift. I kind of understand because of the talk that we had before, but it's like, when you think of a limiting belief or something that's holding you back or you feel like it's holding you back in life, immediately I'm like, that's no gift. I don't like that feeling, I'm like, no. Because I shared with you, like even starting my podcast, I live in Hollywood or close to Hollywood, and the writer strike happened, the actor strike happened, and I was just in a slump. And that's part of the reason why I try to focus on helping people who are living in a stuck life where they're doing that, Groundhog's Day loop. But that's what I felt like I was doing, and I was complacent. I was fine. I wasn't miserable, but I was also just not thriving. And as a creative, I'm like, I need to use that muscle or else I'm just like, what am I doing? I'm in the loop. I'm not doing anything, good for me. So, my limiting belief surrounding being a podcaster was, who's going to listen to you? Like, what do you have to say? Like, who do you think you are where you can help people or, I'm an entertainer. So even the thought of being like, how can I entertain people? Like, who's going to listen? And like that voice was strong, but it's so also like not like me because I feel like I'm a pretty confident person. Like I just jump all in. I look later and I'm like, oh, I should have done that, but it's too late. But surrounding this, and I think it's because I was so passionate about it and I wanted it so badly that my limiting beliefs became stronger and stronger until the fact, like, I had a mentor who was like, girl, if you don't just go and, just record something and try. And I was like, looking back now, I'm like, what held me back? Because, then you feel guilty. It's like, well, I could have been a year in, like I could have been so much further. But I'm like, why does that happen? And like, how should we see this as a gift? Because, I'm not mad at it. I've like kind of let it go. And I've like,
you kind of let it go. It's a little bit mad.
Kind of. I mean, I'm a little pissy. I could have had like 2,000 downloads instead of only 1,000, but I'm just saying.
Right.
But it's like, how do we get past these things? And I mean, I think I have so many questions in one. I'm like, how do we recognize limiting beliefs? How do we get past them? And how do we accept them and see them as a gift? Because I mean, I don't know. I'm still trying to think, is this a gift? Is it?
Well, good for you to challenge me. Yes, it is a gift. So the gift isn't seen at first, right? So when I work with a client, we'll just have the limiting belief like you've just described them. This story, this voice is going round and round, and it's not just a voice, it's a feeling in your body. So I would say to you, Beverly, when that voice is going around and around, where did it show up? Did it show up in your throat? Did it show up in your heart? Did it show up in your gut? Where did it show up? Because that is where you find the gift. Once you understand where it is in the body, that's when the gift part comes. But in terms of the surface level of just a script running, you would ask yourself, what is at the root of this fear? So here's the script. What's the point? Who's going to listen to me? What if why am I even thinking about doing this? There's so many podcasts out there, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. This is the script. What's at the root of the script? So what would you say was at the root of the script?
Honestly, I think a lot of it was like just fear and maybe fear of failure, which is an uncommon feeling, I think, for me. Because I don't think about it like that, but it was on the forefront of the mind, which is a different feeling for me.
Yes. And you would have had that fear of failure somewhere else along the line. No matter that you're the person who dove in and jumped, there's something that you really, really wanted, or life itself was telling you you're meant to do this. And at some point you weren't listening because you were too wrapped up in the script. It would have happened multiple times in your life. And so what you learn is, this script is familiar. My self-worth is attached to success. My self-worth is attached to approval. My self-worth is attached to other people seeing me as a brilliant creative who's inspiring. But what if your self-worth was just you doing nothing at all? And so once you start to understand, the belief is pointing you towards your self-love is conditional. It's not
Mm,
unconditional. And so it's a gift because it's trying to tell you, here I am, you're reacting to me, you push through anyway. But in that pushing through, it takes a lot of energy. It can be very draining. And even if you continue to do it, because that's the kind of woman you are, Beverly, you're a go getter, you get things done, you follow your inspiration, you don't listen if someone's trying to stop you. You are that woman. But it essentially, that can be done without having to give from your underflow, give from your overflow, be in
mm.
the flow. So you get into the flow by questioning the source of the belief, success, failure. Failure means this. And if I fail, it means this. And so if we were in a session, I would go, when was the first time you felt like your self-worth was attached to doing well? Your self-worth was attached to succeeding. And that's when we start to root it out. Where is it in the body? How did it feel? What was the experience? And then we get deeper and we investigate and we find out whatever that root of it was. And
I'm
in that
s-
root that we find it, we
yes.
start to explore the gift because it always has a gift.
I'm so glad that you started talking about your work because just hearing, I mean, hearing what you have told me about it, I'd love to even just go down this conversation so we can kind of
Yeah,
so
let's
people can
do it.
understand exactly where you're coming from. The path of
Mhm.
the open heart is your foundation.
Yes.
How can someone who feels lost or disconnected just start working their own path towards self-discovery? And can you kind
Mhm.
of tell us your method for that?
Yeah, the path of the open heart is a broad umbrella because I asked the question repeatedly, what is the truth in all spiritual teachings? And what is the link between non-duality, which is a form of spirituality that says we are awareness, this world is an illusion, we aren't real, it's a place where you come to discover who you really are.
Mm,
And then the other side, which is manifestation and conscious creation. And I ask, how do those two meet? If we're formless and this is just a learning ground to discover who we really are, and we are here as humans and we want to manifest and create, where is the bridge? So these three things came together is my questioning for a good 10 years. And during meditation one day, after just going into this very deeply, I heard the words, the path of the open heart. And the path of the open heart said, these things, these elements that I'm going to share with you in all religions, are in all true spiritual paths. And they require you to be willing to feel and accept profound and unconditional love. They require you to be radically aware of who you are. They require you to be radically forgiving of yourself. They
mm,
require you to set a conscious intention for your life and know that you can listen to your heart, trust your heart, and allow it to guide you. It requires you to be present in the moment, not cluttering up your present with your past traumas, your past hurts, your past experiences. So that's the foundation of my work. It's the foundation of my life. And how people can apply it to their own personal lives is accept that there is a part of you that wishes to surrender to something greater than itself. Whether you're a Christian, a Muslim, a Hindu, an agnostic, an atheist, there is a part of you that wants to surrender to something greater, wiser, more balanced, more aware than you. There is a part of you that requires you to be very, very real with yourself,
mm.
to not shy away from uncomfortable feelings about yourself. Sometimes can you be a bitch? Yes, I can be a bitch. Are you horrible to people? Yes, I can be horrible to people. Do I
Mm,
judge people? Yes, I judge people. I'm very aware of myself. I'm also aware of where I'm magnificent. I'm brilliant. I'm wonderful. I have so much to give. All of me. And then
mm,
there is a part of you that needs to forgive yourself. But anytime you put yourself down, anytime you've judged yourself harshly, anytime you verbally or mentally attacked yourself, anytime you've considered yourself less than perfect. And there's a part of you that says, you are here on a unique path. You individually, uniquely have something to bring to the world. So you need to set an intention to find out what that is and live by it. understand it, follow that instinct, that inner drive that's leading you there. And then the undefendedness part is can I be present and not worry about what is and what could be and be now, and trust the profound love, trust the forgiveness, trust the awareness, trust the intention to guide me where I need to go. So each and every person can break that down in their own life and say, am I willing to be aware of myself? Am I willing to forgive myself? Am I willing to love myself profoundly, deeply? Am I willing to receive that? And am I willing to have a conscious intention for my life rather than being guided and swayed by what people think you should do or you shouldn't do, and just follow what your heart is calling you to do? So start asking those questions.
It's like on one hand, it almost sounds like so easy, but on the other, it really isn't, because just to be conscious of yourself and to be real with yourself, like you said, like, can I be a bitch? Some people would be like, no, I'm never a bitch. Like, I'm just, I'm right. How does working with you as a coach, like, how do you get people to really see themselves and to admit, because I can see myself, like, you know what I mean? But I might not want to admit those things about myself that I don't want to accept.
There you go. That's it in a nutshell. So I bring in that energy of profound love. There is no judgment. They feel it, they sense it, they know it. They have permission to look at themselves without judgment. Any hint of judgment that they're talking to me and they're saying something like, oh, why am I so stupid? I said, what was that word you just used? It's in a gentle way. It's like, or why can't I do this? I'm so inconsistent. I progress. What is that judgment that you're using to attack yourself here? There's a logical reason why you're behaving that way. Let's explore and not judge it. Let's look at a client I worked with recently. She, just trying to share it in a way that doesn't reveal too much.
Yeah.
But it was a sense of, I'm ready to have a relationship, right? I'm ready to find my partner. This is what I want. I've written down my list, but they're not coming into my life. What's going on with me? So the first question I said is, do you believe that partner even exists? It's all there on your list. It's all there. Do you think they actually exist? And you could feel and see in her face just this moment, I don't think they do. Then I said, if you met that partner, would they want you? How does that feel? Not in the gut. Oh, moment of contraction, right? So, but you are worthy and you don't know that you're worthy. You want this thing, you want this person. On some level, you think this person doesn't even exist. And if they did exist, you're not worthy of them. Do you see how logically that would mean you wouldn't be in a relationship? Right. There's no attack. It's logical. Oh, yeah. So you can have a moment of, soft tears of recognition, but it isn't unless it's devastating, traumatic experience. It's just clarity.
I'm like, because you can't manifest what you don't really believe in.
But if you don't know that you don't believe in it,
yeah,
that's the thing.
That's when working with someone like you can actually bring it to light, because the layers of, just being used to yourself and living with yourself. It's like the things that we have kind of just like held in and held back that we don't allow out, we might not even know is there.
Right, which is why what I suggest people do is to cultivate self-awareness, self-love, and self-forgiveness. That is the triad. Because with self-love, you are willing to look at yourself with a loving, kind eye. With self-awareness, you're willing to say, this is true. I do that. It doesn't make me a bad person. It's just who I am. And with self-forgiveness, you are willing to feel uncomfortable feelings and say, this does feel uncomfortable, but I'm worth loving. I'm worth going through this to find out what I really feel, what I really know, because I deserve a life I love. Hence the name of my website. I deserve a life I love.
Yes.
And so those triad together is what gives you permission. Anytime you feel a hint of attack or judgment, one of those is missing. right? If you're like, oh, it's feel uncomfortable and tears are rising up in me, forgive yourself for not allowing yourself to feel that emotion. For not letting the tears flow from your eyes in a healing way. Forgive yourself. You're attacking yourself. You say, I shouldn't feel this. This is wrong. This feels bad. What is wrong with me? That's attack. So something isn't there. Self-love isn't there.
Mm.
Self-forgiveness isn't there. Anytime that comes up, any uncomfortable feeling in your body that says, I'm trying to push this down because I feel uncomfortable looking at it, one of that triad is missing. It's a beautiful gift to yourself to say, something must be missing because I'm feeling bad.
And that's really the true way. The only way you can heal is if you're willing to kind of accept it, right?
But it works the other way too, where you aren't willing to accept your magnificence. You're not willing
Mm.
to accept your brilliance. You're not willing to accept your resilience, your versatility, your kindness, your willingness to keep trying, to keep understanding, to keep growing. One of the triad is missing. You need to accept all of yourself, not just parts of yourself. So it applies to everything. And if you're somebody who's gone through a really traumatic childhood, for example, self-forgiveness is so much more important than, you have this story of, or this teaching that forgiving others sets you free. Well, in my path, forgiving yourself sets you free because you
Mm.
have to forgive yourself for that part of you that somehow believes that trauma was justified. That attack was something you contributed to. All children on some level are little narcissists who think
Mm.
everything is about them. If mum and dad are arguing, it's about me. If something happened at school and it was bad, I caused it. It's a form of
Mm.
narcissism. But it's
Yeah.
really, the reality is that we carry those childhood experiences, no matter how minor, from my best friend didn't talk to me today, and now I'm carrying that pain for 10 years, to I experienced the most difficult, horrific abuse. On some level, you've internalized it, you've turned it in on yourself, you believe that you caused the trauma, you believe that you need to do something about it. So, forgiving the other person, if you haven't forgiven yourself for that level of self attack, is not real forgiveness.
Mm.
All forgiveness is self forgiveness. That is my mantra.
Yeah, I like
Yes.
that.
So it's really healing.
Wow. Yeah. It's just deep because you don't think of as a child like those things that you might be carrying in. I'm like, what is the word I'm looking? Oh, suppressing the things that you might be
Mm,
suppressing just from childhood, how they've carried in and kind of made you or shaped you to who you are today. Like, I'm just
yeah.
thinking of people who believe they might be unworthy or just very down on themselves. It's interesting because,
Mhm,
we all go through moments and periods of feeling those feelings, obviously. But I
mhm,
feel like at
mhm,
times I know people who feel like that often and all the time.
mhm, mhm,
And I just feel like bad things happen often. Like I have a friend in mind that I'm thinking of, and
mhm.
man, like there's always something with her, but I can tell she has such
Yes.
low self-esteem. And I'm just like, I'm wondering how just the shift of maybe healing whatever might have happened to her as a child or accepting it
Mhm,
or forgiving herself where she
mhm,
could possibly be today. And she's a
mhm,
beautiful person. She would literally give you the shirt off her back, but
mhm,
she'd be the first one to say, oh, I'm like, I don't know, I picked the wrong guy, I'm just not smart. It's just really negative. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, her house will burn down, or like, I'm just trying to be
mhm,
dramatic, but like literally every day, like I'm like, what? Like something bad will happen to her in a week that you wouldn't imagine to happen to somebody within like a decade,
mhm.
you know? And I'm
Yes.
wondering, is it the energy? Is it, or is that just how some people are? Is it because of the way they think about themselves?
It is, but I think everybody feels unworthy. Some people are extreme. Some people mask it.
Mm.
Some people cover it up with gadgets and food and chocolate and
Mm.
shopping and sex, and everyone feels it. But some people are more blatant and locked in. So what
Mm.
that person that you're describing has is the limiting belief script that says, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I never get it right. Everything I do is always wrong. Even when I try to do wrong, I can't do. They've got some version of these scripts running their lives. And if you have a script running your life, you're starting to act from that script. It's automatic responses because you have a mind that learns through repetition. We know that as children, we had to get up 10 times, 50 times, 100 times till we could take that first step. We had to
Yeah.
try tying our shoelaces so many times before we finally got it and went, wow. The mind learns like that. It has neural pathways that get embedded. So the more you think a thought, the more you think a thought, the more you think a thought, the more the neural pathways get embedded and they automatically start to respond from that place. So part of undoing that is recognizing it's not your fault. You have created a
Mm,
neural pathway that means that when anything happens to you, this script will automatically start running. How could that be your fault? It's not your
mm.
fault, but you can recognize it as logic. I'm very much about logic.
I like
Like this
that.
is a logical response to this set of thoughts, this set of behaviors, whatever caused it initially with her, where perhaps she'd done something she was really proud of, something that she felt really good about, and then got shamed for it. Or something where she really had something to say and felt it was from the heart and got shamed for it. And then started to doubt herself, then started to attack herself, then started so on and so forth. So what is happening in her world is highly logical. She doesn't understand it as highly logical, but it's a natural response to these grooves in the brain that are causing you to act out in a certain way in situations. Can you forgive yourself for that? If it's
Mm,
nothing to do with you personally, it's a set of logical, repetitious circumstances that have caused this. But also, there's a flip side. I've had clients who suffer from a lot of anxiety, beat themselves up a lot. I could never do this. Oh, it's so hard. Other people seem to be able to do this, but I can never do this. And with one client in particular, I worked with her just a couple of times. And one of the things was, the process I've talked about, asking her, where did this originate from? This feeling of anxiety and da, 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 when did you feel it first? And so we found out what the root cause was. It was an argument that she witnessed with her parents. And she saw that argument and she was distressed. And then
mm,
her big sister came along and said, oh, they're not fighting. Don't worry about it. That made her disbelieve her perception. That grew into a greater anxiety as she grew up. But at some point in our work together, I said, let's get to the gift in this. What's really going on? Because what I'm hearing in my mind is, you're not anxious at all. You're a badass. You're
mm.
actually very powerful. That's what I'm hearing. Does that resonate with you? She said, my husband tells me that all the time. I'm a badass. Why are you pretending you can't? I was going, it's weird that
Right.
I heard that, huh? Right. And
Mhm.
I said, so if you could take that anxiety, that feeling, that story, and let's elevate it. Let's now imagine that that story is just a little lie that you've told yourself. And we're going to ask your body, your intuition, your awareness to show you the truth of what's really going on. And she had this image of a man walking through a wood. I mentioned this to you when we chatted before.
Uh-huh.
And he was confident. He was walking with confidence. He was, not at all scared in a dark wood in the middle of the night. And I said, what do you think that means? And she didn't quite get it. I said, what would you consider a woman walking through a wood at night? What would they be feeling? Scary, or this bad thing could happen to me, whatever. Could this energy represent the masculine aspect of your personality that you're not giving a voice to, that is
Mm.
inside of you, saying that you can handle all kinds of situations with confidence, with ease, with grace? I just said, that really resonates. So I said, what if your true nature is actually that? And you've just been pushing it down and suppressing it to hold on to this story that I'm anxious, I'm insecure, I'm doubtful. And that's the kind of thing I would do with your friend. Because
Mm.
at the root of all of those stories that she has, there's something magnificent inside of her. And it might be, I don't want to outshine others because I
Mm.
think it's bad to do that. I don't want to be the greatest I can be because a lot of people who are at the top of their game seem to be really selfish and focused on themselves. And I want to be perceived as a good person. And she might be stopping herself experiencing the greatness and the magnificence in her. So who, me? Yeah, you. And there's a
Yeah.
little bit of arrogance to say, I don't want to outshine others. What if you're here just to shine? There's a little bit
Right.
of arrogance attached to that.
Mm.
Let's look at that and enjoy it and laugh about it.
See, that's the sad thing about me. I feel like I must have that little bit of arrogant spirit because I'm always just like,
Mhm,
oh, I can do it. I can do it until I'm
mhm,
not, because I think
mhm,
I feel like overall I'm a confident person, but everyone does have those moments of doubt. But
mhm.
I guess, you just try to push it aside, or if you have that personality. Can you give one actionable step that listeners can do? I mean, I was like, oh, maybe she'll say forgive themselves. But I do feel
Mhm.
like in a way you have to work with someone at that because it's easy to say, oh, I forgive myself. But to truly, really mean it, I feel like that takes time and effort.
But that's what I'm saying. You can't, it's a triad, right?
Yes.
So it's self awareness, self love, self forgiveness. Without those three, you are going to struggle. So if someone's having a doubt about some goal that they have, and the awareness allows you to see your mind, listen to the thoughts, maybe you write them down and say, have I heard this before? Is this a script that I've been playing in the background of my mind?
Mm.
I'm willing and I'm curious to look at this script with awareness because awareness brings clarity. So you have the awareness. Okay, I can hear the thoughts. Yeah, I'm going to pay attention to this. So here's my desire to have a promotion. And I can feel something in my mind saying, well, you're never going to get that. And then,
Mm.
that person over there's going to get that. And what happens if you get it? And then it's a nightmare and you don't want it anymore. No, no,
Start
it's a
snowballing.
script, right?
Hmm.
but it's gold. If you understand and hear the script, you're already free. You're in stage one
Mm.
of freedom. And
Mm.
then you have self-love of, wow, I really was listening to that script like it was true and not just a program. Wow, that's amazing that I actually believe that to be something that was real when it's just a story that I've believed in that's stopping me from going for that promotion. Let me forgive myself for
Mm.
doubting myself. Let me look at this script and say, thank you, script. Now I've seen you. I understand why I'm behaving the way I'm behaving. I'm understanding where this fear is coming from. With self love, self awareness, self forgiveness, now I understand where this fear is coming from. I'm going to go to the part of me that feels that fear and I'm going to say, I love you. I forgive you. I'm sorry I judged you. I'm sorry I doubted you. I'm sorry I didn't give you a voice. You were trying to tell me something and I wasn't listening. And you will feel that part in your body respond. You
Oh,
will
wow.
feel an inner warmth, an inner peace, an inner thank you, an inner something that says, thank you for noticing me. Thank you
Mm.
for not berating me. Thank you for telling me I shouldn't be here.
Mm.
I'm here for a reason. Thank you. Be kind, be loving, be gentle. And as that warmth and that recognition is acknowledged, you can now ask that part of you, how can you help me get where I want to go? Because I know that you've been stopping me because the story is that you've been carrying on my behalf that I haven't been willing to look at. I can't do this. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. But now, through me loving you and honoring you and forgiving you, you have so much wisdom to share with me because you've been my protector. So,
Mm.
can you help me understand how I can move forward? and just listen. Intuition, show me. And you don't have to believe in intuition. You just have to be willing and you have to be curious. And how you best receive an intuitive hit is the way it's going to come. Some people it's a feeling. Some people it's a vision, like a quick flash in their mind. Some people
Mhm.
it's a symbol. Some people it's a word. It's just a sensation. Allow it and it will be a moment for you. But at the root of that is know where you're feeling that doubt in your body. Go to that place, speak to it with love, tenderness, gentleness. Allow yourself to feel that experience of it, releasing and saying thank you. And over time, if you spend time with that energy, might be a few days, might be a few hours, and you build a feeling of connection with that, then you start to say, I want to pay attention to you and I would love you to help me achieve my goal.
Wow. And it's all just a part of getting to know your authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting that we're talking about this because now I want to bring it back to one of those, the third question I asked you during our yes no icebreaker
Yes.
game. So I asked you if you believe that anyone could potentially do anything. And you said a quick no. And it's interesting to
Hard no.
me
I
that you
said
said a
hard.
hard no. You're like, It's interesting to me because as a coach, I'm like, I would think a coach would be like, oh no, anyone can do anything they put their mind to. And, so can you explain this a little bit?
I'm trying to think of a good analogy, but generally, we are, I believe, here to find out what our skills, gifts, and talents are,
Yes, our
right?
purpose.
Our purpose, and to cultivate those skills, gifts, and talents. So if somebody, just to flip it on its head a bit, somebody
Mhm.
who could sing, who wanted to be a world's renowned, famous singer, loved and
Yep.
adored by
A
everyone,
Mariah Carey.
yes, but you can't sing, you're not going to be you're not going to be appreciated for that quality of talent and ability and skill. But you could say, I'm not a very good singer, and I'm going to turn that into a win. How can I use my talent for not singing allow me to achieve that goal? And allow intuition, inspiration to guide you. So you might be a comedy singer. You might be,
Mm,
see what I mean? There's another way that it can come
mm.
through. You're a parody singer. You're pretending that you're great. You're pretending to be offended,
I love that.
right? So,
I love
yes, you can
that.
achieve your goal, but you'd have to flip the script and own and acknowledge that singing isn't your thing, or find a tone deaf audience who absolutely adores you.
Oh my God. I mean, I just love though, just thinking of the idea of flipping the script because I'm like, well, maybe
Mhm.
it's not the way you envisioned or imagined,
Yes.
but you can still achieve it. It's just not
Mhm.
exactly like you got to be more creative with it.
You got to be more creative. But if you are a singer who can sing, you have to, and want that goal, you do have to do the work. So
Yeah.
cultivate your technique, take the time, put in the hours, be willing to stand on a stage and shine,
Yeah.
be willing to
Yep.
do the marketing, be willing to go on all these platforms and promote yourself, because just wanting to be successful on your own isn't going to be it. Willing to
Right.
send your demos to record labels, willing to take criticism, willing to get up, willing to keep getting up, because it's your absolute passion and nothing can stop you.
There you go. It's
So if
true.
you don't have that, you're not going to achieve your goal.
It's very true.
Mhm.
Just going on the theme of people being stuck in life, sometimes we don't realize that we're stuck in life until years have passed. What are some signs you'd say that someone's just living on autopilot and they need to make a change?
They're miserable.
Point blank. Yeah.
Some part of
Yeah.
them feels frustrated, anxious, dead inside.
Mm,
They feel like they're on a treadmill. We all know when we're not happy.
that's true.
And even if we don't know, behavior will tell us. So are you super busy, 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 doing, so you don't have to sit and feel that emotion? Are
Mm,
you somebody who runs up debts on your credit card so you can buy things so you can feel good for a little while and then you feel flat again? Are you somebody who turns to food to push down your emotions rather than feel the thing that you're needing to feel? Are you somebody who's so into gadgets that you'll spend thousands, or trainers, sneakers as you call them,
Mm-hmm.
hundreds and hundreds, £800 per sneaker because you're really into sneakers? Are you really into sneakers, or is it a way to
Right.
experience a high because you're not willing to feel an emotion? It's
Mm.
these things, self-awareness again. Why are you doing what you're doing? What's at the root of it? If it feels good and it's just natural, you don't need it. You choose it. You
Yeah.
can sit down and take time and be in your own company and feel good. You can allow the emotion of dissatisfaction to come up in the moment and just go, oh, I wonder what that's pointing to in my life. You're not pushing it away. You're not pushing it down. How you know that you're stuck is because you're not even listening to this inner voice that tells us all there's something you're here to do, be, experience, know, have. And if you're
Yes.
not doing it, you feel a sense of subtle or intense dissatisfaction, depending on how long it's been going on.
Just you saying that and me thinking of like, we call it retail therapy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I mean, I never was a big believer in it until one day I actually tried it. Like, even see now I'll just put things in my little Amazon box and it makes me
Mm-hmm.
just feel good. It's like I'm not bold enough to really pull the trigger and buy it because I know good and damn well I got enough money to be doing all that. But even just like that feeling, it's like, oh, but in all seriousness, I'm wondering about like a person who's an addict. How can this work for someone with addiction issues? Just the technique of really asking themselves and forgiving themselves and going through this. Can you speak to that a little?
Are you talking about a drug addiction or a
Yeah,
shopping
drug
addiction or
addiction. I mean, it might be different because it's actually chemical, but yeah, I'm
Mhm.
wondering, I don't know, drugs, alcohol, any addiction,
Yeah, if it's that
really.
deep rooted,
Hmm.
then without support, you'd struggle. So if you're not willing to find a therapist or go to rehab or begin the journey, it's going to be difficult. So you could come to me as a coach and I could start to cultivate self-love in you and self-awareness and self-forgiveness and all of those things. But I would have to go through so much resistance because you
Mm,
don't love yourself.
mm,
So I'm going to have to work through so much resistance to get there. But even if you went to therapy, it's still the same process because
yeah.
therapy is about reconnecting you with your true self, reconnecting you with yourself. At the root of it is love yourself, forgive all the times you relapsed, all the people you hurt, all
Mm,
the people you need to make amends to. Look at it with a clear eye when you were down in the gutter there, putting that needle back in your arm again, and you felt that you couldn't do anything about it. Can you not judge yourself for that? Because you weren't ready to change. You just weren't. You hadn't reached your rock bottom. Everyone has a different rock bottom. It's still self love, self awareness, self forgiveness with a lot of fancy names for therapeutic processes. At the root of all of our suffering is not being logical in our approach to ourselves using this triad, but because therapy is so talk centered for the most part, allowing you to get emotions out, feelings out, experience it out, and you can have somebody who is an expert in that particular field, then without support, you'd struggle.
mm,
But for some people, it's just hitting rock bottom. And
yeah.
can you forgive yourself that it took you longer than that person? That
Mm.
maybe you weren't a good parent because you weren't there for them. The addiction took over and you couldn't even be yourself anymore. Can you forgive yourself for that? Can you
It's
love yourself enough?
deep. It's deep. It's like that's when the real work starts. When
Hmm.
when you're like, I don't know, even accepting the rock bottom of it all.
Yeah, but what if that was just your path?
Yeah, right. Right. And
What is there
accepting
to
that.
judge? Other people might be judging you.
Yeah.
Let them judge. But what if that's your path? What if that's where you had to go?
Right.
And there was nothing you could do about it until that click. Now, this is shit. This is it. The other
Great.
2,484 times, there's a part of me that didn't quite get it. This
Mm,
one, something clicked. If that's the case, How can you be attacking of yourself? We all act from our levels of awareness. This is a really important thing for us to know, that every action that we take is from the level of awareness we have come to. Right. So as I think I shared with you, I was in a very violent relationship with a very violent man, and he was acting out from his level of awareness. He was
Oh, that's
acting out
right.
from what he'd seen
Yes.
his parents do, his culture do, how they told men to behave, that if a
Mm-hmm.
woman didn't behave in a certain way, it was disrespectful, and you had to show your manliness. And if you're dating a woman like me who's outspoken, articulate, challenging, you're threatened all over the place. For him, he didn't have the awareness to put these things together. For me, as a young woman in that relationship, I didn't have the awareness to know I am playing out a script, a familial script, a generational script that I saw growing up that has been in our familial history. And for me, the deep lesson was not just I'm dating a version of my father, but
Mm,
I am here to tell the story differently. I'm here to end the story differently. So
mm,
I'm coming out of this seeing what the lesson is, what he had to teach me about myself, what he showed me about myself, and to come away with a clean, clear energy of he was not a terrible person. No, he was where he was meant to be, feeling what he was meant to be feeling. We were magnetic attractors, so we could both learn the lesson, who we are. He didn't go down that route. I did. Right?
mm-hmm.
So I'm sure he carried on that script. I never attracted another violent man again.
Wow.
But I did attract an emotionally, I wouldn't say abusive, but challenging, because this was a new lesson. Oh, can you spot
Right.
it when it's not physical, but it's just emotional? And that was the other lesson. It's like, oh, this is interesting because that's my path. And I came out of that and I understood, oh, okay, it comes in different forms. Amazing. At each level, I was willing to grow and put down
Mm-hmm.
my own judgment. My awareness grew and expanded and grows and expanded. So for the addict, they are at the level of awareness where the drug is controlling them, whether
Mm,
whatever it is controlling them. And when they get to a place of clarity with help or on their own, what is expanding is their awareness that this is not for me to carry as, what's the word I'm looking for? As a judgment of myself.
mm,
There's a reason I'm behaving this way. Something triggered it. Something in my past created it. Something in that drug made me feel something I couldn't feel before. I then
mm,
became addicted to it chemically, as well as psychologically, as well as spiritually. This was my journey. I'm willing to grow in awareness to see why it happened, what triggered it, what part of me uh, allowed it to carry on for so long, and why. I
mm.
love myself enough to look.
I love thinking of it as like unlocking a level, like a video game. Like, okay, now this door is
Hmm.
unlocked. You
Hmm.
didn't learn that lesson yet. Now you get to unlock that level. And I thought it was
Yes.
really interesting when we had our pre-talk before. I think we used the instance of like going and you have a problem with your boss. And
Mm.
you're like, this boss is an ass. God, I can't stand him. Like, what? But it's like it's the awareness too. It's like his
Hmm.
awareness might not be where your awareness is.
That's right. But then we also spoke about his or her behavior might be triggering a feeling in you of something from your past, maybe your childhood, maybe at school, where when you spoke to someone about something you wanted and they got a certain look on their face or they rolled their eyes or they talked in a certain manner, that triggered that belief in you. So
Mhm.
you can have two colleagues talking to the same boss. This colleague says, I think he's great. I
Yeah.
don't see a problem with him. And the
Hmm.
other one is triggered all over the place, and
Right.
vice versa. The boss might see something in you that triggers them, that this person is challenging my authority. I'm here
Hmm.
to prove I'm the boss. I feel insecure when they challenge it. I'm going to be tougher on them than I am on me. We all have to cut the awareness that we are being triggered by something that isn't the person in front of us. It's all internal, all the time, because once you've freed yourself from that, you can deal with that person and not take it personally and
I
get
love
a
that.
better result. So if they're being a bit of an arsehole, you can, as I said, turn it on them. In the past, you might have gone, oh God, internally just talking about him behind his back, or bitching to your girlfriend or your husband. In that
Mhm.
moment, instead, you can go, you seem to be having a really bad day. I don't want to be reading you wrong or making assumptions, but I don't know if is it anything I've done?
I love
This
that.
it's not personal to you anymore.
Mhm.
So inside you might be thinking, arsehole, but you're talking
Yeah.
outwardly
Yeah.
in a way that doesn't trigger that person.
It's like you're reframing the whole situation.
Absolutely. But only because it's not personal to you anymore.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the
I
final
mean,
thing I want to say about awareness is we
mhm.
all have different levels of awareness all the
Yes.
time. So you may be very aware in one area of your life and very asleep in another. And you might be aware today and less aware tomorrow, depending on where you are, whether you're on your menstrual cycle, or you've had a bad day, or you've had a bill. Your awareness levels can go up and down. They're fluid. None of us are there. There is no there to get to. What we can do
Mhm.
is keep cultivating it and recognizing when we're being triggered, take things less personally, so we are more empowered to deal with the challenges when they come up.
I love that because I feel like I can be more in a place of calm when I'm like, you know what, they're just not at the awareness that I'm at. You know what I mean? When you just kind of
Mhm.
reframe it in that way.
But I would
I just
caution
love to
you
hear
on that
that.
because it has
Mm,
arrogance in it.
well,
Right,
I've
there are
already
levels of
established my
awareness.
thing. I'm just joking. I'm
When
just
you say
joking.
there are levels of awareness, it's like
Mm.
this is better, this is worse. No, there are just, it's expanded awareness where you can see what's going on, you can see the mechanisms, and you're not taking it personally. That is true
Yes.
awareness. And then there is, I can see this, but I'm still triggered, so I'm going to flip it to make it sound like I'm better than you and I know more than you. No, you're either less aware or more aware in the moment. So can you be aware even in that moment that I'm thinking I'm superior? Mm.
That's a hard one.
Well,
No,
you
but
can
it's
let
like
yourself be superior and
it's like
enjoy it. I don't know why.
I feel
But
like
just
bring
say,
it.
yeah, I'm aware that's what I'm doing, and I'm going to bloody well enjoy it.
I mean, just what a state of being though, because I feel like just asking these simple things of
Mm.
yourself, you can truly learn your authentic self. And if you do want to be, in that moment, a little feeling a little more superior, at least you're
My
admitting
friend,
it and
I
you're
do
living
it
in
all
it.
the time.
Okay.
I call it conscious venting.
I love it.
And so I'm aware of, I'm being a bitch, I'm feeling superior, I don't like that person. I'm going to let
Mhm.
myself consciously, deliberately vent, knowing it's venting. It's absolutely nothing to do with that person.
Yeah.
And I'm going to revel in it. I'm going to use curse words. I'm going
Hmm.
to say, I'm going to write it down on a piece of paper, or I'm going to say it in private so
Hmm.
nobody gets hurt. So that when I do talk to that person and I vented, I'm like, hi. And I
Yes.
really mean it now because I've given my emotions space.
I feel like that is so healthy because I feel like me personally, I'm growing through this, but I used
Mhm.
to, and probably shouldn't even say used to. I probably still am a people pleaser,
Mhm.
and but I'm learning, and it's just not a healthy thing because I
Mhm.
would try to make people like me who I don't need in my life.
And you don't even like, probably.
Or
That's
I
the
don't even
irony.
like. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh my God, she's so mean to me, but I'm still just gonna kiss her ass. And I'm like, you know what? Why can't I
Yeah.
just be like in my head, you know what? I'm gonna write these things down and I'm gonna think about it. And I am gonna feel better than her in this moment to myself.
Yes,
So
I
I can
am.
back and be like, hello and good day. You know what I mean? Like hang out with this person.
You have to give them your emotions a space. You really, really
Mhm.
have to honor them. I
Yeah.
remember you were talking about gratitude, and there was one thing I wanted to say because sometimes beautiful, necessary, important, right? But sometimes to me, it can feel really pious. It can be, I'm grateful for everything. But are you really? Are you really grateful for when you're feeling really pissed off
Yeah.
and you get to feel that emotion?
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm grateful I have a range of emotions. I'm
Oh.
grateful I'm not just this one dimensional, what's they call it, spiritual bypassing, super Pollyanna-ish type person, I allow myself to be grateful for that. I'm
Mm.
allowing myself to be grateful for being somebody who can read people, for filth, but I'm choosing not to. I'm grateful for everything.
I
Really.
It's just reframing it, really. It's like,
Yes.
you can be grateful in those moments, even though, and I love just the
Yes.
reframing of it all because I do feel like you get a sense of peace when you're able to do
Yes.
that, you know?
Yes. Yeah, but
Wow.
I caution against people who, I'm grateful for the sun.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for my children. For the
Now
soft
don't lie about it
sheets.
now. Don't lie.
Yeah, no, but you might be, but it's
Mm.
framed in this very highly spiritual, not down in the dirt gritty thing that I struggle with, because be grateful for even when you're not being a nice person. Be
Yeah.
grateful that you can see through it. Be grateful that you can own it. Be grateful that you can love yourself anyway. Don't feel like you have to get to some enlightened monkship,
Yeah. Right.
to enjoy life.
Because you don't want to be surface. You want to really get there. I'm grateful for this moment that
Really?
I'm pissed off because my blood is
Yeah.
boiling.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got
Hmm.
blood that boils. Wow, I'm grateful.
Right.
You know what
No,
I mean? There's
seriously.
blood running through my veins and it's pissed off, and I'm getting to experience this immense energy, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to beat myself up for it and try to be super calm all the time.
Yep. Man,
Yeah.
just
But
that
yeah,
alone,
gratitude.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
very, very
I feel
important.
like these are the tidbits that I can keep and like, all of our listeners can actually use. These are things that we can
Mm-hmm.
use in getting to know ourselves better.
Mm-hmm.
If my listeners want to work with you a little closer, because I think, man, just the things that you have told me in the last conversations that we've had, I feel like my mind is on that next level. Like, I really am going to try to start
I
reframing
love
things.
it.
Can you
Yeah.
please let us know like your website, your coaching offers, and how we can get in touch with
Sure,
you?
sure. Yeah, so as I've been saying all the way through, you do deserve a life you love. So that's the name of my website. You deserve a lifeyoulove.com. And you can come and sign up and download your free report. Is your life being run by limiting beliefs? And it's just a way to explore it. I give 3 examples in there, but you can apply the principles of the very specific examples to your own life. You could also sign up for a free discovery session, a 30-minute, to see if we can work together if you'd like to. If you'd like to dive in, you can have a limiting belief buster session with me, which is where we do what I was explaining today, of just really looking at a particular goal you have and a specific limiting belief around that goal. And let's identify it and begin to shift it today in this session. I also do audio courses, so a couple of audio courses there. That one is Heal Your Money Story. So if you've got a money story and beliefs around not having enough, or always getting into debt, or not letting yourself move to a new level, then there's that audio course. And there's also Heal Your Love Story, which is if you've been
Mm.
love scammed, you had a narcissist, you've had a scammer, you've had
Oof.
somebody who's broken your heart, and you've lost faith in love and lost faith in yourself.
Mm.
There's that. So those are the easiest ways to connect. And but if you want to work further, then we just get to know each other. You'd be welcome to the Vibe Tribe, and hopefully
I
it's a
love
long-term
it.
relationship. But if you
The
do want to
vibe
have a
tribe.
limiting belief buster session, then you can benefit from a 20% off promo, which is LBB promo 20, that you just put in at the checkout. So any and all ways. And there's also lots of free resources on the site. So if you're not ready to buy, but you just want to connect, please do sign up so we can keep in touch. And that will be so much fun.
Yes, and my little collective here loves freebies. Yve, I love that
Yes.
you hit those top 3 most important things I feel like in life:
Mm.
money, love, and limiting beliefs,
Yes.
all to help us grow as our authentic self. It's just so
Yes, because you're
important.
amazing. Each and every one of you are incredible, delightful, delicious, divine beings who might be wearing a mask or pretending you're not. So
Right.
I love that, and I love you.
Oh, I love that. Just like you said, we all deserve to live a life that we're supposed to lead. That
Mhm.
just speaks to my heart. I'd love it if you could leave us. And by the way, just so everybody knows, I'm putting all of your information, all the links will be right in the
Oh,
show notes.
perfect.
So
Thank
don't
you.
worry. No one has to pull over and like write down everything.
And
Show
anyway,
notes.
you can't forget you deserve a life you love. You struggle. If you,
Welcome.
then that's telling you don't, you think you don't.
I mean, I think I've met some people who don't believe that, which is really scary.
Mhm.
You know, we're meant for better things.
Yes, we are. But I love them anyway because they
Yeah.
are here to show the contrast.
Ooh, see how she flipped it up on us real quick, y'all? Yve, can you please leave us with a mantra, a quote, or words that you live by, or words to live by?
Okay, let me ask my intuition, see what it has to say. You are enough. You have
Ooh.
always been enough. You will always be enough. Allow that to blossom and
Mm,
rise in you as your truth.
absolutely fantastic. Yes. It's something that we all need to hear and remember.
Mhm.
Man,
It's
I'm
been
like
an
in my
absolute
people,
pleasure,
I'm
Beverly.
thinking about people pleasing moments. I got to remember that I am enough. Thank you so
Yeah,
much, Yve. You are fantastic. You're such a
you're a
light.
joy.
I really appreciate it. You guys, check Yve Bowen out. You will not be sorry. And just, God, thank you so much. I really
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
I've loved every. I knew when I met you, Beverly, as she's one of the stars of the world. She really is.
Thank you. I'm in the Vibe
Doing
Tribe.
good work. You are in the
So
Vibe
much.
Tribe.
I'm in the Vibe Tribe. Y'all
You.
join the Vibe Tribe as well. Thank you for listening. It's Beverly Explains It All.